Is Bray coming back at Extreme Rules?
So, what we have is clues about a white rabbit, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if I can go track by track here, as I can't remember vividly everything. But it started out as just like online, more or less online stuff where the song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, it's by Grace because they're doing studio acapella vocals isolated on the track, which is brilliant. Started playing at live events and during commercials. Well, interestingly enough, they started to do the light show when it hits the crescendo, and you guys may not know the song by name, but when you hear "Feed Your Head," you know the song. And they start doing red lights, which are ominous red lights, at the shows. And those they picked up traction because people thought it was really cool that this song is playing, because let me tell you, there's no reason that song, a cappella version, would be playing in a WWE arena unless it is being licensed. Because arenas could have license agreements, but now that we've seen it happen in multiple different, we knew, this is clearly something for WWE. And then when WWE or somebody accidentally leaked the video of an empty arena and them doing the light show for, is like, okay, well, this is clear. And then it started to game steam online, and subtleties started to be dropped on WWF programming. One of which was someone just held up a QR code, and many may not think about it, but you see, like, okay, it's a giant QR code. Clearly, they want someone to grab it. Yeah, but they did it at a particular time, and then the QR code did, in fact, lead to a WWE thing that had a particular date for it at a particular time. And what was run was a hangman spot, I believe, which it asked who killed the world. And this little white rabbit is jumping around trying to guess. Well, the first word it spells out in its guess is demon. And what it actually does end up spelling out is you did. Like, ooh, this is fascinating. Now, the ties to this is Bray has, in fact, in NXT, NFCW, has uttered the words, "They didn't kill the world, you did," in promos. The lettering used for the promo is, it is exactly the font used on Bray Wyatt's previous shirts. And you may say, like, okay, well, what else is that tied to, though? Because that's a scary, scratchy font. Nothing. That font was developed specifically for Bray Wyatt's shirt. So it was used here. Now, there have been a lot of other things used. Like, I wish I should have collected everything and gone through how many different things have a Bray Wyatt tie that you may not even think, like, and they mentioned something about like Devil's Hole, Arkansas, or something like that. And then you realize, in July, Bray checked in or asked about, hey, what's going on in Devil's Holes, Arkansas? And this is just an example, but it's very close. And then you realize, that could have a tie. And then you see on, I forgot what forum it was, but the username White Rabbit posts something that was very ominous, and its location is Devil's Hole, Arkansas. And you're like, what? And these all started to happen around a certain time. So it's not like, oh, you're just grabbing a post from 4 years ago that you're trying to tie. So now comes the tie-in, I think, that is going to be the bigger deal that will lead us to reveal that it is Bray Wyatt. Whether or not he comes back at Extreme Rules, I still won't offer, but Rob Fee is the new, maybe only because I don't know that this thing existed prior. He is the director of long-term storytelling, or long-term creative, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't, by no means do I want to tell you I know Rob Fee. I've had interactions with him years and years and years ago. He is a comedy guy, and he fucking loves wrestling. He ran Mandatory, which was an awesome site that had a lot of like funniest tweets of the week, gave a lot of people publication, which that got printed up in Playboy as well. So all that cool stuff. But he went and turned, people think like, oh, he's a Marvel guy. So like he did not write any Marvel movies. He's not a Marvel movie writer. He's a Marvel comic book writer. He has also written for Disney movies. He also, Rob Fee, congratulations, just got married last month.
Nice.
Yes, just got married. And there were two wrestlers specifically at his wedding. John Morrison
Mm-hmm.
and Bray Wyatt.
Oh, man.
It is believed that Rob Fee is, in fact, the one behind the creative of the White Rabbit QR code online tie-in stuff with his good friend Bray. So do I think the White Rabbit is Bray Wyatt? 100%. Do I think Bray Wyatt comes back at Extreme Rules? I think there is a big reason you don't have people who could be you don't want to be overshadowed on this pay-per-view. I think there's a reason you don't have Roman. I think there's a reason you don't have Bloodline. I think there's a reason you don't have Sammy. I think there is a reason you don't have big title matches. I think there's a reason it's not stocked with title matches that could be forgotten. I think you're going to have your one big title match being Bayley and Bianca, and I think you're going to have the biggest story that is going to come out of this is Bray Wyatt will make his return. How he makes his return, I don't know. What comes out of it, I don't know. However, what I think could be, I think we may get a new iteration of the Wyatt family. Who? I don't know. How? I don't know. But I do think there is ground. There's some traction with the Alexa Bliss and Lily stuff. And to that, with Asuka. Now, Asuka could very well be doing something that I myself have been clamoring for since she joined. Even before she joined WWE, I remember this post because I made the post of like, I absolutely adore her, but she fucking terrifies me. Have you seen Kana in her makeup in Japan as an evil caricature?
I have not.
I think we're going to get this version of Asuka. And again, whether or not this is, I imagine it's going to be a heel-esque but face group. So I do believe that we could be getting something from, and this is not in this makeup here is not just a one and done type of thing. She has all sorts of iteration.
Whoa.
She has all sorts of iterations like this. Let me see if I can go to images because she has one that's my absolute favorite. I will post this one because I love this one. Da, 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 da. But do you remember when Finn Balor started doing his demon stuff?
Yeah.
And it was because there was back in New Japan, he used, for all of his big shows, he would do body paint. And he would do a different character every time. Like he would do Venom, he would do the Joker, he would do something. And people were clamoring for that. So finally they started doing their own version of that, and they turned it into the demon instead of And so I do think, isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And I've heard nobody talk about this. This isn't something I've gotten from elsewhere. This is just me seeing her clutch to Lily, me starting to think like she could have something that is going to kind of snap her. I don't know. I don't know how we get there, but I do know she is capable of being an unbelievably good villain or face, but being a complete creep show while doing it. Ooh, another one. I'm going to give you this one. And she is somebody who has been doing the exact same thing the entire time she has been on the roster, both in NXT and on main roster. I think it's time she gets a new coat of paint. Definitely. And I do mean literally.
Oh, yeah. And it goes
I do think Bray Wyatt returns. I think Bray Wyatt returns at Extreme Rules. And this is complete fantasy booking on my part. The biggest excitement for me is the different directions it could go. And to see Kana do this would melt my heart. It's terrifying. And now can you understand why I would post, I love her to death and I adore, every time I see her, I think, I love you. But she's also fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody's used to this. And I think Triple H could be the one who would do it's time for a drastic change. If you're super over as a babyface, you can be super over as a heel. It doesn't always translate. However, if you're super over as a heel, you can usually be super over as a babyface. She has been nothing but mega over as a babyface. What else can we do with her? And I'm sorry that this has turned into me fantasy booking one of my favorite wrestlers.
It's all right,
and friends. We're supposed to be talking about Bray Wyatt.
It's okay. But it all ties in because one of the main things that makes the Fiend terrifying is how it infects the roster and everyone that the Fiend / Bray Wyatt interacts with.
I was going to say, I do want you to clarify, because I don't think the Fiend will have anything to do with Bray Wyatt. I don't.
That was one of the things that me and Sam talked about on last week's episode, was which version of Bray comes back. Is it the Fiend? Is it Bray Wyatt? And either way, one of the things... Or...
is it a new version of something?
Yeah.
Have you... This was the other thing. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Have you seen fun concept art tweeted out for the possible White Rabbit caricature at all?
It was by the person who did the original concept art for the movie that Bray Wyatt did while he was out, and the original art for the Fiend, right?
Yes, his masks.
Yeah.
Yes. And when you do reverse image search that's never been posted. And so it wasn't even like he posted something and he's like, oh shit, that reminds me of this. This is super cool. It's his original artwork. So are we getting a Fiend-esque White Rabbit? Are we getting Bray Wyatt or are we just getting the White Rabbit? I don't know.
Could be.
I don't know. Yeah. And that's what's so fun.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I heard on the Wrestle Talk News, was that the guy with Fee, what was his name?
I'm sorry, Rob Fee.
Rob Fee. He wanted to do a movie based on The Fiend back in 2021, and it had been greenlit, but then Bray Wyatt got released.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen. So this guy not only has had his eye on Bray Wyatt's creative for a long time, long before he got hired on, but the idea of having the Bray Wyatt lore as a part of how it's been for a long time and how it interacts with everything else, how it could interact with Asuka, with a lot of other people. Maybe something happens with Braun, because Lord knows Braun's not fucking doing anything other than ruining the tag division again.
Right. Dude, I completely forgot about Braun.
Yeah.
That's the only acceptable spot I see him. Because I don't want him being this fucking train that derails all over the Raw. So all of that is awful. I never even thought him in the Wyatt family fit originally because he was so babyface. But I think this Strowman works very well in this realm because it keeps him away from having to be in a title picture, having to be in major feuds. Yeah. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that, even though it should be. But fuck it, I throw Asuka in there for the Wyatt family. It's like there's a Wyatt family member on the goddamn, and I just didn't even think about it.
Hell, Sam was talking about Bray Wyatt convincing Paul Heyman and maybe Edge getting involved. So I mean, there was a whole bunch of other stuff.
Is there the possibility of Rowan coming back?
Possibly. I mean, he never got that AEW graphic, so there's that always happening. If you don't get that graphic, you're not officially in.
Right.
And so he's available. I don't know that he would get signed back, but there's always other people that could get in.
And I don't know that he needs to be honest with you.
No, I don't.
I think he would be a wonderful addition. Once this new family is kind of getting some steam, and then he were to come back and it's like, oh shit, yes, Roman's back. But I think to just reset to hey, we're the Wyatt family again would be this isn't as much fun.
I think if you're going to do a new family, I think the idea of an all-female Wyatt family is interesting because if you have Alexa Bliss, Asuka, I don't know who else you could get in there, but you already have two females backing up the White Rabbit. That's something that hasn't been done before. If Braun doesn't even get involved, you don't walk in the same river twice.
Right.
And technically, Alexa Bliss would be a returning character, but she never left. Bray's the one that left. But she still has the continuance of the Lily doll. So there's an argument to be made that it's a continuance, not a return.
Right.
So there's that argument to be made. And so short answer, I think I agree. Bray's coming back. And there was also eagle-eyed viewers pointed out that in the match graphic for the Fight Pit match, there is a lantern.
Lantern, yes.
In the background, a lantern with the fireflies. So,
see, how much fun is that?
I love that.
I love that.
Even when everyone else was like, "Oh, that glove that happened in the background, that's Bray," and then it was like, that was Dexter Lumis. But still, the fact that people are watching for these small little details, a bunch of old heads are like, "Oh, you're playing to the fucking internet smarks." Fuck it, it's fun. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I want fun. And it is fun. And people are having fun again.
I'm engaged. And I also saw people and they need to all these clues are just leading to, hey, watch next time. Hey, watch next time. So they need to blow this off soon. And I was like, first of all, it's been around for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's not leading to that 913 or that 923 led you to SmackDown but that 923 also contained a bunch of other Easter eggs that could help you formulate what you think is going to happen. And that's what's so much fun about this. This isn't just so went to the video and it told me to watch SmackDown. I watched SmackDown and it told me, oh, something's coming. Be scared. Come with me. And it's like, yeah, but did you like? You're going to watch anyway, viewer. You're going to watch anyway. So yeah, they're going to play to the people who have been the most vocal for Bray Wyatt, and that is the internet crowd.
Yeah.
And you're getting people who are now starting, like, my mom's not familiar with any of this stuff. Like, she knows about like the White Rabbit stuff, but when I started showing her all the different, she started then saying, like, doing what I'm doing, which is like, so do you think he could happen if he comes back? Do you think he'll do this? And it's like, see how much fun you're having right now talking about this?
Yeah.
Subtleties and clues matter in wrestling. Because otherwise it's just like, hey, here's what's going to happen. Now watch. You watch and go, I did or didn't like that. And now you don't think about it.
Yeah. Sometimes people who are on Twitter all the time forget that not everyone is on Twitter all the fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And they're doing enough. I think they're doing enough on WWE for there to be some subtleties to say, like, could it be Bray?
Yeah, a lot of people were thinking it could have been Karrion Kross because, like I said, Karrion Kross was known as the White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. Some people were saying it could have been fucking Joe Gacy, and that would be the biggest fucking letdown in the world.
I actually think Joe Gacy is going to be a part of. I think he's going to be a call up for.
I don't like him.
Is this a I don't like him personally, or I don't like him?
Oh, yeah,
anything he's done.
Fair enough. I do have an unfortunate tendency to conflate the two.
Well, no, which is fine.
I know diddly shit about him. I know diddly shit about him personally. I just think that he's watered down Bray Wyatt, and I don't think he does it convincingly enough.
Then what better way to put him in with Bray Wyatt? So rather than trying to, like, because I agree, I enjoy him, but I'm the same way where it's like, what you're doing has been done and been done way better.
Mm-hmm.
So what if instead of you just trying to be that, like, instead of trying to be the clown, you join the circus? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like just stopping by at a McDonald's drive-thru on your way to your reservation at a steakhouse. And it's like, oh, you're sitting down at the meal, you got your prime fucking T-bone steak, and you're slicing it in, and you also got your fucking Big Mac right next to you. And it's like, which one of your, like, you know,
but those aren't the same thing anymore. Those aren't the same thing anymore. See, when he's trying to be steak on his own, but he comes across as the Big Mac, right? Like,
yeah,
you're not steak, you're a Big Mac, and I'll digest it when I'm really hungry, but I'd rather just have the steak.
Yeah.
But like I said, instead of just being a clown, because a clown stands out and you're not doing a very good job. We've seen clowns before. Like, hey, weirdo clowns, you're standing out and I don't like you on the side of the road. I don't care what you're doing, you're a fucking weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
If I see the clown at the circus, do I have the same disdain for that clown? Not at all. So he no longer would become a Big Mac at the steakhouse. He would just now be the soup you would get in the beginning of dinner, because he's now a part of the meal. He's no longer a random thing you're sticking in. He's a part of the meal. He's just not the main course. Do you know what I mean?
I
and
can
for
understand.
Me, I think it's going to be, if you're going to make a new Wyatt family, you have to bring in people that others aren't as familiar with, that you can shape into being what you want them to be.
Yeah, you can bring unfamiliarity into it, but if they're good enough to not look shit next to Bray. The problem is Joe Gacy is less familiar than Bray, but I don't think he's good enough. That's the thing, is he's not only less familiar, but he's also not as good. He didn't just look bad by comparison. I don't think he was good, period. He was a Big Mac by itself and in comparison. So he doesn't just become soup at the restaurant, because soup can be good.
What don't you like about Joe Gacy?
He doesn't have, when he says spooky shit, he looks like a fucking troll in a basement somewhere, reading out a tweet he thought was clever. He looks like he should be fucking reading. He looks like he's missing his fedora instead of meaning what he's saying. He wrestles like I have in no position to judge a wrestler, but in any way. But I know, but
everyone's in position to judge a wrestler. That's
fine.
Kind of why we do it.
In terms of in ring, he's not convincing to me. When
Define convincing, but do you mean like he means what he's doing?
Yeah,
the moves matter or what?
I'm trying to do this in a way that isn't by looking at someone else by comparison. The stuff he does doesn't service his character. He's supposed to be this manipulative kind of, I'm getting in your fucking head, but then he gets in there and he's just a roughing guy. And then the stuff he's talking about, his face he looks like he's just a douche, but also like he lives. He literally just looks like an internet troll, and he talks like he's an internet troll, and he just isn't convincing at all. I don't know. I don't buy him. I don't buy him in any way, shape, or form. In ring, out of ring, whatever. And then if you want to put him next to someone, now I'm talking about comparison. If you put him next to someone who has in interviews, out of interviews, in the ring, every move he does, I'm talking now about Bray, every move he does, everything he says, in the ring, out of ring, everywhere, online and in the real world, everything he does services whatever character he's ever done. Even back to Husky fucking Harris, he has always meant and did what he has said and done in whatever universe he's incorporating it into. If you put this unconvincing Big Mac of a fucking guy next to a master class of an artisan, you're gonna make him look like shit even more than he did by himself. I think Joe Gacy needs a fucking repackage. But that's just me. I don't think you put them together unless you want to sabotage them.
Prior to this character then, like Joe Gacy's other characters,
I don't know anything about them.
Oh, so all you have to go off of is literally one character?
Yeah,
Hear me out.
Yeah.
So he does not play the character well. So can he not be put in a different role as a different character?
Sure. And yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
On WWE TV, people would still recognize him. That's why people didn't
he can still be Joe Gacy.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to talk. Bray can do that. He can have a version of a mask like some of the other Wyatt family guys did, and all they did was come out and beat the shit out of people. Like, what's your favorite Luke Harper promo?
Luke Harper specifically?
What's your favorite Eric Rowan promo? Like, see what I mean? Like when you're like, I think, because I do like Joe Gacy. I think he's very talented.
Fair enough.
And I do think his character has just been a watered down version of like, we're going to try and rekindle what we had with Bray. And to your point, I don't think he wrestles the way his character is presented in promos and stuff like that. It's like you said, like, I'm this, but his mannerisms aren't like a manipulative guy in the ring. It's like, I'm just going to get in there and beat your ass. Like, well, that's not what your character is, though.
No.
Now, I think with right direct, because keep in mind, he's also been in NXT 2.0.
Yes.
So I think with proper direction, like the guy who was running NXT originally, and the other guy who does what they were trying to do with him infinitely better, could mold him in a way. And again, we don't even know if this is, again, we don't know if Khan is coming in. We don't know if Joe Gacy. It's just all this theory. I do think there are so many people that couldn't work with Bray Wyatt that I think Joe Gacy is somebody that could work. And I think Joe Gacy would benefit greatly because no one watching WWE knows his name. He's an NXT guy and people barely know his name. That I like the idea of him coming up. And if he doesn't, I wouldn't be like, God, well, that's what I wanted. Like, if he doesn't, he doesn't. Fine. Wouldn't care at all. Bray Wyatt being back is just going to be the best thing, hopefully. I do think with Triple H, with Bray Wyatt, with Rob Fee, I think there is going to be a lot of stuff that is going to be a lot better than people think it's going to be. I think there's a lot of people who talk about Bray needing his creativity reined in. And without Vince there, who's going to do it? It's like, okay, again, Vince, like the Fiend character could have been exceptional. And it was initially. Where you go from there, I don't know, because you can't have this man-beast monster who can't be defeated kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the plan was in general. But to be fair, all I have are the plans with Vince McMahon being the one directing them.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me like, hey, if you let Bray Wyatt, all you have is reports about Bray Wyatt. Hey, he's got all sorts of wacky shit. Well, yeah, those reports are released when Bray Wyatt was released. Of course, people are like, those reports are going to come out. And you don't have a reference point of what Bray Wyatt just being Bray Wyatt's creative is.
Yeah.
You have Bray Wyatt through the filter of Vince McMahon, which, as we know, have been glimmers of amazing stuff. The whole world in his hands stuff, with the kids, like
Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, and somehow they always end up complete shit.
Yeah.
He does amazing stuff, and then you're like, why is he doing spooky cockroaches on the wrestling mat? This doesn't make any
Holograms
sense.
fighting Dean Ambrose.
Why is this happening? What
if and buts are coconuts, and all we have is what happened. And so hopefully we get something better. And I agree. Like I said, I hope Joe Gacy gets a repackage. Now, if that repackage comes under the guidance of people who want the best for him and obviously know better than what he was under before, aka Bray Wyatt and Triple H and Rob Fee, then cool. That's great. One, give him another name. Joe Gacy, way too close to John Wayne Gacy.
Yep. I've always disliked it.
Yeah. There's something, there's taking inspiration and then there's hitting the nail on the needle. But yeah, that fucking name. Fun fact, I think I've said it to you before. I actually live like right next to the.
That was seamless, by the way.
Yeah,
people know what we're talking about, but that was seamless.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
I live right next to the prison where John Wayne Gacy was put to death, Stateville.
Yeah,
it's within. Well, I can't say walking distance because I have fucking arthritis in my ankles, but it's within driving where I would feel stupid for driving that way distance.
Right.
It's within waste of gas distance.
Yeah. And listen, there's just those names that you hear and you're like, there's like the second I heard Joe Gacy, I was like, nah, like you can't. No. There's a deathmatch wrestler by the name of John Wayne Murdoch. And I get it. Like it could be John Wayne as in John Wayne, Murdoch, like he was. Like Murdoch, that made sense to me because of how his looks and everything. But the second I heard John Wayne blank, I immediately thought, nope, John Wayne Gacy. Yeah. And so in my head, I'm immediately like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just those names. So
Donald Triumph. Really? Donald Triumph.
Oh God. If they were to use Joe Gacy, he cannot be a part of the group as he is. He would need to be a different character entirely. And again, if he happens to use the name Gacy, it's too like he has to be something else. He has to.
Thing is if you do incorporate him into the Wyatt family, you'd probably still use his backstory in some way later on down the line. But that's okay, because you can use him as like this is what you used to be like, and this is what I made you better kind of deal. I'm your savior of whatever the fuck. But
totally.
This is all, we're fantasy booking an entire career at this point.
Oh God, yeah.
Long story short, we think Bray is coming back, and we would cry if he doesn't. Fucking Triple H!
Real quick, do you have any prognostication or maybe even a want of how he would return? Not like production and all this stuff, but like, is there someone he goes after? Is it during a match? How does it happen?
Oh, you know what?
Say it does happen in the fight pit. I don't know how you would put Bray in that with already having a special ref, and
Daniel Cormier kicks Bray.
Right.
Freaking kick a man. Honestly, what I think might happen, since Edge has nothing going on, you might have Bray putting Edge away.
So is this what when you had mentioned that this could be the main event before, had you already had this in mind?
No, I'm pulling this out of my ass.
I think because in my mind, like, as we talk more about it, there's no way you could, you don't do Bray during the middle of the pay-per-view.
No, what the hell follows it?
You couldn't do Bray. Well, I suppose you could do Bray with the women's ladder match with the involvement of Asuka.
Yeah.
But do we want that to overshadow? I don't know.
How about you?
I don't want my heart's not set on anything. I've left this up to
we will abide.
Do whatever.
We'll follow the dude and we will abide.
I do want to say, because I continue to stare. You're all like, the screens still have part here, and then I still have the chat up. So the last picture of Kana in her mask, and I just imagine her spitting red mist and stuff, like with that,
or like black mist, like Alexa had at WrestleMania.
Like I do want that. So my heart is set on that, but I'll enjoy the ride to get there. And if it never comes, I'll always have this. Yeah. I do think Extreme Rules is going to be match for match a very, very good show. I think there's some sleepers on there. I don't think the Drew match is going to be entertaining whatsoever. I do have even the ones that I'm not terribly looking to, like the Ronda, and I'm excited to see how they get out of the situation, like what they book going forward. Yeah. Triple H has always been fairly good at setting up for the future rather than this is what happened tonight. But it's like, this is what happened tonight and this is how it's going to affect such and such. So
yeah, we'll see how it is. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good show.